Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers! Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves on the cusp of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, even courting a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and roll on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. And tonight we are talking WandaVision. We interrupt this program, and we've got Dash Haber on. How you doing, Dash?
Hello. I am doing well.
I need to correct myself. It's Dash Haber.
Yep.
You're just thinking haberdashery. That's why you keep saying that.
I literally went like a whole season of 1986 calling you Dash Haber, and you never corrected me. So
you were wrong.
Well, it's not a major sticking point at all.
All right, guys. So let's get to it. WandaVision, of course. Now, y'all, we're all over the place when it comes to the schedule of WandaVision. We're going to try and do it consistently on Sundays. That was our plan. Claude Karinga definitely called us out on Twitter like, hey, this episode was so good you're doing it early. I'm like, yeah. But honestly, guys, this episode is genuinely just damn good and kind of blows the lid off of things. And I do want to talk about it while the iron's still hot on it. But just being realistic here, it just fit into our schedule better. So it just kind of like, it's kind of a marriage of convenience, if you will. But yeah, this episode, definitely the biggest episode of WandaVision so far. I was wondering how I was going to feel about an episode that was not in that kind of like sitcom style that we've been going for. I gotta tell you, not only was it refreshing, it was totally illuminating. Like I'm really loving all the stuff we set up, and I feel like we've got a great picture of what's to come.
Oh, absolutely. After having had 3 episodes in this sort of routine of familiar sitcom format, but slowly unpeeling this mystery, it's a nice change of pace to have an episode that's more about, okay, here's what's been going on with the world outside of this. The folks trying to get a clue as to what is going down here.
Yeah.
And really giving us some nice world building, such as our introduction to Sword.
Donovan Martin's in the chat. He says, I love Elizabeth Olsen so
much. We all do, Donnie.
Who doesn't, Donovan? Who doesn't? All right. Also, we got Claude Karinga in the chat. Sorry, folks, but we interrupted today's scheduled programming to bring you back to the real modern world. Yes, indeed. Speaking of bringing you back to the world in a way that kind of just almost just like, spills cold water on your face right off the bat, metaphorically speaking, that opening, dude, I was fucking riveted by that opening.
Oh, yeah, that opening.
I was not expecting us to get into that. That, like, the snap was like the farthest thing away from my WandaVision bingo card, and maybe it shouldn't have been. But okay, I'm just gonna just indulge me here for a second, guys.
Yeah, I'm still waiting my intro, by the way, but let's just keep going. Yep.
So one of my favorite shows of all time is The Leftovers, Damon Lindelof's The Leftovers. And it's a show that's very similar in premise to the concept of the snap, where a bunch of people just disappear off the face of the earth. The difference between The Leftovers and then the MCU is you never actually see the people vanishing. And so obviously with the MCU, you see the people vanish. It's done very artistically with the, with the ash and everything. But holy shit, seeing the people come back. Because obviously with Endgame, all we got were the portals, but we didn't see like the, kind of the ground level sort of, like if this had, like, obviously in Endgame, it's super triumphant because it's a whole bunch of heroes returning. But it's so fascinating, man. I was just, my brain was just going a mile a minute, processing just how chaotic it would be if suddenly all these people just came back.
Yeah, so I mean, on the whole, just to bridge into that, just real quick though. Yeah, it was such a smart choice to embrace the big aspect ratio shift that we teased
Mhm.
at the end of last episode, which of course continues to tie into our TV theme. It builds on the momentum from the end of episode three. We do have definitely a few. It's like, again, given that we're really kind of backpedaling to show certain events, we do have a few few mind bending reveals, especially towards the end. And honestly, this is the episode I feel that clinches it for any of the general audience who didn't just get the full picture with the last episode.
Oh, I'm just gonna say it.
If
Yeah,
you're-
like the first couple episodes were very Lynchian, very
yeah.
challenging, and I don't blame people for not getting it. But yeah, by episode 4, I think they lay it out to you pretty
Yeah.
thick, man. It's like,
We got like a whole
okay,
whiteboard and everything. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
it's
Now.
right, right. It's
We
like,
got it.
okay, Wanda's controlling all the sitcom stuff. All the weird out of place stuff is because of Shield trying to contact her. Let's go. I'm stoked that all those answers are just on the board like that now.
But back to the blip aftermath. What's really great about this is it's so tonally effective and haunting versus the way we did it. Not that this was bad, but this is just different. We did it the opening of Far From Home. Far From Home was kind of like a kind of a fun logic thing where everyone was kind of wondering about, like, yeah, what is the new status quo like now that people have reappeared? And we saw like a little bit of like kind of shaky cam footage from kids' cell phones, like, hey, oh my God, people, there's reappearing in the midst of
God, I
of
forgot
things.
about that from Far From Home.
Yeah, everyone keeps
Yeah.
forgetting about that
Yeah.
because we get this overshadowed. Don't get me wrong. There, I think they're both great. That's more comedic. This is just the dramatic. Like when you see Monica Rambeau's reassembled, and then
Uh-huh.
the way we do it kind of like that kind of that oneer in Infinity War where they're going out into the streets. Where, the giant
Yeah.
flying donut, giant space donut. But yeah, I mean, it's just this. I just love the reassembly and the logical, it's the illogical logic that this happens. There is going to be a panic at the return in this hospital 5 years later. As people, it's like just Monica, especially Monica Rambeau, is looking for her mother. Like, hey, listen, I need help. Like, I need to call my family. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, Claude points that out. Monica Rambeau's mom is dead. She didn't even know she died 3 years ago. All this time.
Very sad.
Yeah, that was a huge reveal, I thought, because she was a huge character in Captain Marvel, so that was honestly kind of pretty bold to kill that character off screen. And because we know we're going all in with the Monica Rambeau character, it seems like she's going to be a very pivotal part of the MCU moving forward, and so it's interesting. It's interesting.
Now, something to note with
Donovan, this is a mind fuck. I agree. I completely agree. Go ahead.
Right. Sorry, I was trying to remember where
My bad.
Right. Okay, yeah. So something really interesting with Monica Rambeau. I think they're going in this direction. If they are, I think it's going to be really good. We're kind of setting it with Monica and just kind of the whole the mother died 3 years ago. We're starting. It looks like we're paralleling Monica Rambeau to Wanda, in a sense, in that basically they both have a loved one who, even after they come back from the blip, from the snap, there is a loved one who is not coming back. We have it with Vision, and we have it with Maria Rambeau. They're not coming back, and they're both really tragic. It's kind of a rude awakening they're both kind of in for, and definitely having to adapt to. So I think it's kind of linking them as characters, which I think could be really interesting, and also just ties into the overall theme of trying to reconstruct your family and your life when you come back, which definitely, I think she's going to be able to relate to Wanda if they have like another scene together by the end.
I think so. Yeah.
Really
I also love how with the hospital and her reconfiguring herself, like I love how they kind of play with where they left the last episode off, where you're just like, wait a minute, like we saw her get out like through the portal, like was it just me who thought like this might have been like still happening within the within the TV sitcom of it all?
Well, what do you mean? Like within like the whole just the events that we saw unfold?
Just when the episode first starts and she first starts reappearing before we kind of I thought.
Okay, I'll tell you, Tiki. I'll tell you. For a moment, you know what I thought?
What?
At the very start, for a moment, I thought, "Oh my God, we're showing kind of like we're teasing like a House of M sort of event of like Wanda like atomizing people or something."
Right. That's kind of what I thought as well. Yeah.
But then you realize, like, oh my God, it makes makes more sense because again, we're not even there yet. We can't get there yet. It's like, oh my god, no, we're going back. We're doing the reverse snap, the return, man. That's awesome. Made great sense. That's wonderful. So, but yeah, so we Dash brought up Sword, so we should talk about Sword. We actually have some answers on Sword, not all the answers, but basically the important stuff. So Sword, we learned was kind of a la Peggy Carter and Shield. Maria Rambeau, the mother of Monica, she was one of Sword's founders. Maybe not the founder, one of the founders. Now again, I don't know how this stands in the MC because the first introduction we had at Sword, which they never 100% said Sword, but it's very indicative of Sword, Nick Fury in space with the Skrulls. Mm-hmm. That was our first tease at kind of Sword. So presumably, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say Fury and Maria Rambeau kind of were the founders there because they both knew Captain Marvel and they both kind of were there at Ground Zero and they knew the whole Skrull thing. So presumably they were the founders of Sword. Hence, Nick Fury is also like a kind of a Nick Fury is probably another guy kind of heading the charge there. Again, we don't really address what the deal with Fury is, but he's off world right now. He's in space, so that's why he's not there.
Sure.
But yeah, I could see something like that happening, considering speaking from a comics knowledge standpoint, Sword has had a space station as a particular waypoint of their operations.
Exactly. It's kind of like the Justice League Unlimited animated show, where basically they have like a watchtower in space that kind of operates as a defense against major and intergalactic threats. So it's a similar concept, but a little bit more like a whole organization based upon this versus a contingency.
It's also kind of neat to see that the name has slightly been changed for the MCU. So in the comics, it's Sentient World Observation and Response Department. Whereas in WandaVision, it's Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Division.
As in, like, living weapons, which again, some people are imagining they're going to bridge into the mutant thing rather easily. So, which is possible, like living weapons.
Quicksilver's kind of a hanging Chad right now.
He is, and again, I'm wondering if we're going to see like him pop up in a cameo. And again, Tiki, if we do get eventually the Evan Peters version, I know it's not in the MCU, but again, assuming we get to bridge worlds like that and do stuff like that, he would be tailor made for the '80s.
I think it's coming, man. I think it's coming. I really do.
Yep. Let's see. Anyways, so Sword, of course, dealing with the alien space threats. Also, a little fun fact about Sword. I don't know if I've ever told you this. So this is just kind of ironic how this works out. So Sword was contemplated to appear in an earlier MCU film. I'm talking like really early. I'm talking Phase 1.
Uh-huh.
So Sword was originally supposed to be the post-credit scene for Thor. See, originally, Selvig and the gang. Selvig,
I don't even remember what the post credits for Thor was.
Well, that was the post credit for Thor was the Loki kind of watching over Selvig's shoulder with the Tesseract. Fury.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's what they went with. But originally, it was going to be Selvig and the gang of Darcy and Jane. Just looking.
We'll get to Darcy.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it up. It's so fun. Again, that was going to be we're going to announce Sword through those characters and looking.
Okay.
In correlation with, so they filed that away. I guess they kind of came back in the deck, so to speak. Now there's a big speculatory character we have in this. Okay. He's a new character for the show. Many people have theories though already about this guy. They're thinking the director,
the Tyler guy.
Yes, so Tyler Hayward.
The only reason his name stuck out is because my name is Tyler, or else I would have never remembered that.
Very imaginative, Tiki. Yeah. So director Hayward here. This guy's I believe he's a new character for the show. He's either really, really obscure. I'm pretty sure he's original to the show. Anyway, people are speculating this guy's a bad guy.
Mm.
Think about it.
Kind of like a Robert Redford style bad guy, like a guy who kind of inserts himself into the equation and kind of pulls the strings.
Yes, and I'm not fully convinced of this, but I do see the little opening because again, this guy's an acting director, and he didn't disappear during the blip, and he would have taken over after Maria Rambeau passed. Therefore, there's a power vacuum there. You're going to insert somebody, and again, he's a little short with Darcy, so I think people are mostly they're kind of coasting off the whole, oh yeah, Darcy's got a bad feeling about the guy. He might be a bad guy. Ooh, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see if he's bad. It could easily just be a case of he is just not ready for this level of crazy activity.
Sure,
I think
sure.
I get a bad guy vibe off of it on the rewatch. I mean, I just that little power
It
vac.
could be going that they're kind of like trying to call to mind, people like Zemo and people like Robert Redford. I'm sorry, I forgot his character name, but
Pierce, Director Pierce,
Yeah,
Alexander
Alexander
Pierce.
Pierce.
Yes.
it could be that they're trying to call to mind characters like that and then do a misdirect.
Right, because I mean, I don't. Well, again, we've been teeing up Hydra. I mean, there's a chance, but also could be AIM, which I have AIM theories. We'll get to. I got big AIM theories. Okay,
Fucking AIM. Every time I hear AIM, all I think of is AOL Instant
would you
Messenger.
stop with the AOL?
No, I'm sorry. I grew up in the early 2000s, man. I can't
AIM
help
was
it.
around a lot long. AIM was a lot more
Yeah,
marketable
but
than
dude,
AOL.
but AIM was like the Twitter of its day, man.
And AIM proper are the guys
Oh
in the
god.
yellow beekeeper suits, man. That
All
was a
right.
patented look. AIM was famous for that, man.
Give this video a big old thumbs up if you associate the acronym AIM with AOL Instant Messenger first and foremost.
Anyway, let's talk about Monica. So, on the whole, how do we feel about Monica now? We've kind of finally addressed, okay, it's not Geraldine.
I really think that she is going to be a major player going forward. I think that she could potentially be like a Claire Temple type where you can just
Yeah.
easily insert her into a bunch of different MCU scenarios.
Monica's making a great. Honestly, Monica's kind of redeeming Captain Marvel in a way for me.
No, in a way, totally. I could see honestly with the work that they put in between Miss Marvel and just Monica Rambeau as a character, like I could see myself being legitimately excited for Captain Marvel 2 by the time we get to it. I'm not there yet, but I could see it.
And of course, we've announced Monica's going to be in that. I wonder if she's going to pop up in the Miss Marvel shows for consistency's sake. And again, these shows are going to be kind of little interconnected threads. So
Donovan. If it's Quicksilver, if it's Evan Peters Quicksilver, what you're teasing up, DM me on Twitter, Donovan. I would like to know. I would like to know. I won't tell you guys, but I would like to know.
Anyway, what was it? Anyway, but yeah, so of course we do some Captain Marvel setup with her. I mean, one again, we've kind of set up her appearance in that. Definitely, she's going to be around. We actually Tiki. It's not 100% confirmed here, but we may have given her superhero origin in this episode.
I could see that.
So what happens in the comics is, just long story short, is that her power, she becomes a second Captain Marvel. Essentially, she becomes another Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me given her trajectory. Yeah.
Which again is what they teased up in the first Captain Marvel movie with her relationship
Sure.
with. She was the kid in that movie, and they had a bond, and she picked the colors anyway. So, Photon was her mother's call sign on her plane, on her her jet was Photon, which is the name she's going to adopt as her superhero name. Anyway, the thing is, so her power is energy absorption, and not just energy. Specifically, her origin is she absorbs a massive amount of extra dimensional energy. Now, if this show didn't present extra dimensional anything, I mean, come on. Extra dimensional sounds like right up the alley of that origin. Just given the whole she was the first one to go to and into and then spurt thrown out of. Around of that dimension, plus kind of hit with a little bit of Scarlet Witch magic, a little Scarlet Infinity, a little cosmic Infinity magic. I don't know. It's possible. We might have gotten her origins under lock and key. I don't know.
All right, guys, we got a lot of comments, a lot of stuff to get to.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of start to go by the comments here, and I want to start with Jimmy Woo equals GOAT.
Okay, so I don't know if you felt the same way or not because it's been a while. I always loved Randall Park's Jimmy Woo character.
I liked him. I just didn't really think he had that much of a he was fun, but I don't really think he had that much of a presence to him, if you know what I mean. Like,
I don't know why. I just felt so charmed by him in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And plus his dynamic with Scott was so funny. It was so
I will
nice.
admit he was one of the bright spots of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I will admit that.
I love his introduction when he shows up. The first thing he does.
Yeah, this is great, and this is yet another another thing that this show is just doing really well. It's like, hey, you want Marvel people? We got Marvel people. They might not be the big A-list Avengers, but this is definitely I'm pretty sure going forward, at least we're going to get a big chunk of characters that are just already just pre-established within the MCU that just fit in super naturally to all this.
The moment he shows up, he does the close-up magic trick with the card, which again is like a little nod to Ant-Man and the Wasp, where he was trying to learn that because he loved what Scott did, and he mastered it.
Yeah. Yeah, this episode really did make some good use of Jimmy Woo. The character was fine in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but it seems like they keyed into just a particular sort of wholesome energy to him.
Yeah. I think he had wholesome energy in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I just think here it's I like seeing him more in a more high stakes field job, rather than just basically babysitting Scott Lang, as charming as that is.
Yeah, he's wonderfully earnest, and we get to play him off other characters, which kind of helps that even more so. We get to see him. He has a nice rapport with Monica, and even better rapport with Darcy. And my favorite thing in this episode, I love the idea that Jimmy Woo and Darcy are.
Don't say Kat Dennings is your favorite thing in the episode.
No, I'm getting that. I just love that they're kind of these engrossed sitcom buddies. This is the two of them watching this as they're tracking the progress. They're sitcom buddies. It's adorable.
No.
So go ahead.
Sorry. Sitcom buddies, and essentially a good solid chunk of Reddit that's been watching the show based on the whiteboard with questions like, why sitcoms? Is Vision alive?
Yep. Again, we're literally spelling it out, but it's not in a bad way. We're just spelling out for anyone who just needs to be sold. Okay, why that there are hexagons? What's the deal?
All right, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to keep up with the comments here. You mentioned the research into the sitcom, which is super fascinating. Now we have a lot of action in the speculation department in the comments of who Agnes is, who my husband Ralph is.
I got a new theory on that.
Oh, do you? Is it not Mephisto this time?
Well, no, I never said Ralph. Oh wait, I never thought he was Mephisto.
People are all in on Ralph equals Mephisto.
Okay, here's a new thing we got. Here's a new level that we got to the whole who is Ralph thing. Okay, so so we established Westview in this episode. So Westview 1, it's in New Jersey, which I'm sure Kevin Smith was delighted about, which I know for a fact he was very happy about.
Right. Finally an MCU movie on my turf.
Yeah, very nice. I mean, other than that base in Captain America, it's like that's Anyway, so there's an FBI witness from like a WITSEC or like a witness protection program. One of their guys went off the grid in that town, and then the whole town went missing. So I think the smart theory is that the witness protection guy is Ralph because we don't see him.
Okay, and I also just love the idea in the background that they don't even really draw too much attention to it, but the fact that Agnes does not have a counterpart in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I love that we don't really call attention to it. We just, because we're already intrigued by Agnes. We don't really have to have it spelled out for us. Agnes at this point to me is like by far the most intriguing thing in the whole show as far as mysteries go.
Again, I think the running theory is that she's going to be Agatha Harkness, but again, that's kind of like the most established.
I mean, I'm totally expecting that to be the case. I'm just really curious to see how it plays out.
Certainly. Also, you'll notice Dottie wasn't there. Now, there is the chance they just hadn't gotten to Dottie yet, but then again, Herb was on the board. Now, Herb was in the same episode as Dottie. I don't know.
All right. So we have another person in the comments here. Simba Trey. How you doing, Simba? So what do you guys think happened to the agent who turns into the beekeeper? I love the beekeeper thing. If you already answered, no need to re-answer out here. Yeah, we haven't talked about it, Simba. What do you guys think?
I'm going to lay out my aim theory unless Dash, you want to get in on this first.
AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah, I am still really wondering, just because. So we have seen now that in the broadcasts that go out, the screen basically does a jump cut just to cover whatever happened. So I'm wondering what exactly happened with that time rewind.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I love how you see the time rewind from a different perspective. That was a really cool shot. You just see them kind of standing there off in the distance as our perspective is on him.
Yep, and of course, his little line turned to a jump rope, which is which is weird.
oh yeah, and not just a jump rope, but like that the hard jump rope. That
Yeah,
is
The old school, like
Yeah, yeah, like
90s
the
jump rope.
elementary school jump rope.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right.
Oh man.
Okay, so we already know this going into it. Vision, even Darcy says it. Like hey, Vision, he's dead. Like and before the blip, he's dead, right?
Yeah, I love that we're starting to acknowledge that. And then of course we get
Mhm.
Dead Vision.
Okay, okay. Let me lay out. I'm going to lay out
Oh
my
god.
big
Oh
theory here.
god.
Okay, this is the big theory about
Okay.
stuff. So,
Okay.
now on the board,
Wanda and Dead Vision.
we had again the hexagon point was made. What's with all the hexagons? Now hexagon. Now, given the fact, okay, we're gonna take the hazmat guy, we're gonna make him into a beekeeper. Well, you could look at that, and you could think like, okay, I guess like we're just making a hazmat look normal, which somehow is a beekeeper. But I'm just saying the beekeeper is so identifiably AIM. I'm gonna be shocked if AIM does not have any correlation here. But the thing that makes me think, even if that's not the case, it's got to be AIM is the hexagons. That's the hive mind mentality. That's the AIM thing. So my older theory I'm going to rework here is that AIM took Vision's dead body to create MODOK. And Wanda was retrieving it. And once she got there, and like after she handled the mission, whatever, she then kind of got a glimpse at Vision. It was too much stress for her, and that kind of led to essentially kind of either her light bulb moment or her breakdown of like I'm gonna create kind of Paris. And basically, what we reveal here, my theory is that she's reanimating his dead corpse. Because think about it, everyone else, with the exception of the twins, the twins is going to be a tragic story. However, that unfolds.
Oh, I know, man. I am dreading that. I am dreading that on an almost existential level, buddy.
But as that board establishes, with the exception of Agnes, who is probably Agnes is probably Agatha Harkness. Regardless, with Agnes being the exception, everyone else, as I kind of called earlier in the season, they're all real people living in this town, in this New Jersey town, which means Vision is probably a physical body, if that's the case. But again, he's
oh,
that
that's creepy.
that's reanimated.
That's
Which again,
creepy.
the moment I was gobsmacked and just utterly shocked when I saw like the dead Vision corpse. So I knew we were going to see it at some point. I didn't imagine like seeing like walking around like making like a visual aesthetic. Like, oh my god,
Mhm.
it's very Bates Motel esque, and I love it.
I was not. I thought it was. I was initially thinking that maybe this is like some sort of construct she's made to sort of be like Vision. I wasn't expecting the possibility of, oh, she's puppeteering his body.
Yeah,
gotta be-
it's creepy. It's
there
super
is-
creepy.
The only way, if it's not that, then just for a moment, reality was setting in. But I think the more interesting and the more shocking, horrifying thing is that she's puppeteering the dead body, which again leads to the AIM theory. The body was in play. The body is still remember, the body, regardless, is still made out of vibranium. Therefore, it is valuable.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So Claude's asking, what do you guys think of Darcy Lewis?
I think this is the best Darcy
Absolutely.
Darcy
No
ever
question.
in the MCU. I thought she was great. I got to tell you, this moment
I have like been very. It's funny because Kat Dennings, I really like the start of her career, stuff like Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. But then when she got onto Two Broke Girls and then the Thor movies, and when she really started to blow up into the mainstream, I was super annoyed by her shtick at that point. And I really did think that the Thor movies did her any favors. But it's kind of that old don't throw away any piece of the buffalo mentality. It's like this is a character that and also does have legitimate knowledge about this kind of stuff. And I think, once again, it just goes to prove the, just how much of a success the shared universe of Marvel is, where you can just, you have these characters waiting around like you have a whole filing cabinet filled with characters like this that can just, populate the world.
Yeah, Darcy Lewis, the seasoned astrophysicist, like the full on, like, time has passed. She's kind of following the footsteps of Jane Foster. She's very likable. I felt, like it was kind of bantering with the guys. Obviously, her rapport with Jimmy Woo is great. And again, I got to tell you, there's this one moment that just I keep going back to as one of my favorite moments, possibly my favorite moment of the episode. I don't know, a lot of good moments. I love it when she starts, after she asks for the old TV, like not a flat one, I need an old TV. After she does that, after she does that, like she's starting to take notes on the broadcast, pretty much like what we saw at the end of the first, probably at the end of the first episode. When the hexagon shows up, like Wanda and Vision are kissing, she goes, "Oh," it's like, yes. It's hilarious. Again, she's the voice of the audience. This is amazing. I just love the idea that people are being charmed by this as like they're getting engrossed, which is also kind of an interdimensional hostage situation. This is amazing.
Yeah, they do a good job of that.
Oh yeah, this was a great use of Darcy. Still keeping like that sort of charm to her character, like a bit of that a bit of the sassiness from the previous Thor movies, but she definitely feels like she's definitely gotten more experience. She's a little bit more reserved.
Yeah, that was my big problem with her in the Thor movies, is how unfiltered she was to a negative extent.
Comedy place, it felt like.
Yeah.
At the worst of the Thor movies, when she was just kind of throwing there like, "Hey, funny line, it's Darcy, man, it's Darcy."
Right.
Darcy has useful stuff to say, and she can be really funny. And again,
exactly.
Ability there,
Yeah, because remember, we have the detail now that she's earned her doctorate.
Mm-hmm. Yep, doctor.
She's just an intern.
Yeah, 10 years in the MCU will do that to you.
All right. So cool. Anything major that we haven't gotten to yet?
Let me see. We had like the just a little Captain Marvel nod with the little drone, which basically, I like how we filled in the blanks with things in the episode too, as we kind of the other side of that. And again, as it kind of mentioned with the beekeeper, I'm sure that beekeeper, he's still around. By the way, that's the other part of the question from earlier. It's like the beekeeper's around, and he's just gonna be like, I wonder if something bad's happened to him. I'm sure he's still in that reality somewhere. I don't think some people think he might have just got atomized when that footage got rewound. I think he's alive, but because they got to bring him back. It's too memorable a vision.
I saw in like some obscure corner of Reddit, somebody threw out the idea of, what if this is how we got Swarm?
Oh man.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I don't exactly have a whole lot of stock in that, but if they wanted to throw in like some sort of antagonistic presence beyond just the insanity going on with Wanda,
right.
It's hard to go wrong with a bee, man.
Okay, there's one last important thing Claude's kind of teed us up for here, so we got to talk about this. One of the great dramatic parts of the episode. So Claude says Monica getting sucked back into the sitcom reality, and I think what he's just basically like her getting sucked out of it too, like sucked in. Well, one, that was terrifying when she got sucked in the first place, when she once the drone goes in, and then she's kind of gets sucked in there and she goes missing. But when she get the circumstances which she gets forced out, we get to see that full scene play out, which one, I love that aspect ratio shift once we go into the TV, and then for the first time we see the full color, like, oh my god, we're in it. It's the MCU, like, aspect widescreen format inside the sitcom space, which is I felt terrified already. Like, oh god, I love this show, 4 episodes, and we know what's happening essentially. We don't have all the variables, but essentially we know what is happening, yet the episodes are packaging it in such an interesting way. We don't care. We're having a great time. And again, this is literally, we don't do anything necessarily new with Wanda and Vision in this episode at all.
No, not at all, really. We don't really see any new footage. Except for Dead Vision, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. It's like a moment from that, but essentially the same setup. But it's yeah, I love how we just have that terrifying moment of Wanda, just kind of forcing her out and then reassembling things. And when we have dead Vision, this is an interesting thing I call in the rewatch. Vision's quoting his last words essentially from
Ah,
Infinity War, where he says, before he gets stabbed, before all the trouble starts in Infinity War, he says
uh,
um, something along the lines of, we could stay in bed, like we could stay here, like Wanda, we don't have to, we can go anywhere, Wanda, we could stay together. And it's just, no, Vision, this is our home. And he's asking, are you sure? And again, yes, everything's under control. That's why Elizabeth Olsen rocks, man. There's a comfort, but there's also a scary.
this show is basically just like, hey, Elizabeth Olsen, we underutilized you in the last 2 phases. You kicked ass in Endgame. Here's your reward.
I love the last line of this episode. What should we watch tonight? Which is the perfect way without doing yet. Again, I like how we're not just doing the same thing over and over again. Going forward, it seems we're okay. We had the big color shift. That was huge, going from black and white to color. We had the aspect ratio shift, and now it's like Wanda in being in control. She's essentially holding the proverbial remote. Therefore, she's going to pick the 80s for the next episode, presumably. It's like, hey, what do I feel like watching next? It's like, that's how you end an episode, man. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also do have to say, like, with how this episode ended, man, am I afraid of what's going to happen when the proverbial bomb finally explodes.
Yeah. It's gonna be intense.
It's Wanda. It's all Wanda.
All right, guys. Well, I think we pretty much covered the gauntlet on that one, right? Any final thoughts?
Loved it, and I thankfully everyone's on board now, it seems. So yeah, this is a great one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like, cannot wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the edge of my seat. I was very intrigued by the first 3 episodes, but I was a little worried about the pace. And holy shit, this just threw that pacing issue I had and just kind of spat in the face of it, man. That's what I get for questioning MCU stuff these days.
Oh,
All right,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Before we go, so they address one last thing they want us to talk about.
Okay.
The Mephisto of it all. So it's been asked. I don't know if Luke talks about movies. He's bringing up now. Like maybe Dead Vision was Mephisto's way of reminding Wanda to stick to the script and not act out of character. Basically, saying maybe Wanda is also kind of being kept on a leash for a lot of
interesting.
like a Faustian bargain, essentially. Like, okay, I'm going to give you Vision back, but if you have to stay in this reality forever. Now, again, so far the big theory has been that if Mephisto's in there, he was possibly in the form of that Stork last episode. That was kind of the theory.
Right.
Again, how much credibility is there? I'm not sure, but definitely Mephisto, if he appears, he's the one who's going to have eyes on those kids, man. He's going to have a lot of leverage. So, yeah.
All right. Okay, guys. So big thanks to Claude Kringa, Luke Talks About Movies, Donovan Martin, and the incomparable Simba Trey for joining us this evening. We will be back most likely next Sunday. Like I said, that's the schedule we're trying to stick to. It just happened to line up with the other stuff we're uploading this week to do it tonight. Plus, it was a big episode.
It can't be next Friday, so it's probably going to be Sunday.
Okay, there you go. So, all right. Yeah, good times. Thank you, Dash, for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano. Just Plus and us.
Little Jimmy Woo with a little badge.